There it is.
Well, we had it. That was our. We just had our best intro.
It was really good.
Ever.
It was really good. We talked about lightsabers.
My haircut.
Talked about haircuts. Jeremiah got a haircut.
Thanks. I mean, or
With
I guess
a
that wasn't a
lightsaber.
compliment. That was more of a. That wasn't a compliment. That was just more of an observation.
No, it looks good.
I wasn't. Okay.
You were fishing. No, do you have a guy or a gal?
Yeah. I have a whole haircut journey. It's been a journey. It's been.
Lord. Oh Lord. Actually, I do too. I gotta.
What's yours? Let me hear yours.
Well, I don't want to.
No, I want to hear yours. What's your hair? I mean,
You're the one that got the haircut.
You haven't even had a haircut. I'm more interested in yours.
I haven't had a haircut in years. No, I get haircuts. I get trims. So my haircut story is from many years ago. I had long hair. It was a little shorter than this, but I went in to get a trim. I forget exactly what I said. I said something incorrect. And this was back when I didn't really have somebody that I would go to regularly. I would just kind of go into a place and say, trim up my hair because it was long, and I feel like that's pretty easy to do. Just do a little trim. Mm-hmm. So I must have said something wrong to this guy because in my head, I just wanted to trim just like an inch or something.
Yeah.
And he shaved my head. I look like, if you recall, what's his name? Of course, I'm not going to be able to remember his name now. He was a Red Hot Chili Pepper for a short.
Flea.
I want to say Dave
it's
Grohl.
Flea.
No,
it's Flea.
it's not Dave Grohl.
It's Dave Grohl. It's Dave Grohl.
Famous Red Hot Chili Pepper, Dave Grohl. No, he married Carmen Electra for a little bit. Oh gosh.
Oh boy. Let's look up.
Hold on.
Carmen Electra husbands. Oh boy. Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro. That's it.
Okay.
I look like Dave Navarro. I don't know if you remember what his
yeah.
hairstyle was like in the 90s, maybe early 2000s.
It's like shaved on the sides? Or
yes,
what?
Shaved on the sides, very short on the sides and in the back, but just super long in the front. He basically didn't take any of the length off the front, but had it shaved down on the sides and the back.
Oh, good.
It was, and I could feel it happening. I could feel it happening, and I didn't say anything, and I just was like, you know what? This is going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to say that we're good to go at the end, and I'm going to walk out and, combust into flames.
Is it this? Is it this right here?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something very similar to that.
Wow. Oh, that's awful.
So
like super emo. It's like super emo.
It was bad. It was
Oh,
bad.
wow.
So I immediately went home, put on a baseball cap, had that on for the next day or two. I had to go to work the next day, wore a hat. This is when I was a news shooter, so I could wear hats. Showed my best friend in Peoria, and she was just like, oh my God, that is mortifying. She actually knew somebody that she would go to. So I went to that person.
They fixed you up? They fixed you?
She cut the rest of it off. I basically just had short hair and then started growing it out again.
That's fine.
So.
That's fine. So who do you see now?
It's too early. Her name's Amanda.
What do you mean it's too early?
I was blanking on the name.
Oh, I thought you meant like it's too early. Like you don't want to commit to her long term yet, and so you don't want to like.
Oh God, no! I've been seeing Amanda for years and years and years now.
Is
That's
she in
why I was
Washington?
embarrassed that I had forgotten her name. No, she's in Peoria.
Okay.
She lives in Morton, nearby Morton.
Oh yeah,
Leave
sure,
Morton.
sure.
But no, she's very good. Hold on. Hello? Are you leaving?
Yeah. Are you on a call?
Yeah, I'm on a call.
Okay. I love you.
All right, I love you. I'm talking to Jeremiah.
Oh.
Do you have any messages for Jeremiah? Oh, you're coming down.
Yeah.
Oh hi,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
How are you?
You've met Jeremiah.
Oh, there's a dog too. Oh my gosh, what a treat this is becoming. Everybody's
You've not
here.
met Jeremiah?
I don't think in person, right?
No, I don't
Well, you
think so.
can't hear him.
Well, I can.
You can? Okay, she can hear you through my headphone that I have
Yeah, a little
out.
bit.
Oh hi, there.
Hi.
Taylor Swift.
Forever.
Forever.
Actually.
Oh,
Oh,
More
we have
chest to front, but like.
a vinyl.
it's not mine.
He sleeps with it. He like hugs it
No, I
when
don't.
he's sleeping.
No, I don't, Mom. Shut up, Mom.
None of that's true. None of that's true.
All right, I love you.
All right, love you.
Bye,
Bye.
Jeremiah.
Bye. Nice to meet you. Thanks for filling in. Hopefully
take
my
the
house doesn't
dog,
burn down
please.
again.
All right.
Well, that was a lovely. You got to show that on the social media. That was a wonderful little cameo.
Social media will love that. They love that kind of stuff. They love wives, husbands and wives interacting.
Right.
That's like 30% of social media. Anyway, yeah. So Amanda is my hairstylist.
Okay.
Has been for many years.
So how often do you go now? Because you got really long hair. So to the listeners, Warren's hair is now longer than shoulder length. This is the longest I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
So what do you? How long or how often do you go now?
It just once every few months. I'll say once every 3 months.
Okay.
Which is probably not true. Probably closer to 4 or 5.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know. What about you? What about you?
So I cut my own. So ever since college, I cut my own hair.
No way.
With scissors, no less. With scissors.
What?
I cut my own hair with
gutsy.
scissors. My hairstyle always lent itself to it because it was kind of messy hairstyle. Oh, here comes Jeremiah with his messy hair. You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, look at this guy. His hair looks like it was cut by a blind person.
Right.
So you could do that.
Yeah. And so what was interesting during the pandemic, I went opposite. So, I mean, for most of the pandemic, like when barbershops closed down, I was like, hey, I've got this. Everybody else is panicking. I just do the same thing I always do.
Yeah.
But then, for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat yourself. And I started going. There was a new barber that came into Muhammad, and I went and gave him a shot.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved how I felt afterwards. And like that, I'm back on team barbershop.
So during the pandemic is when you were like,
Yes.
I'm gonna start going to barbers
Right.
when everybody else was like trying to figure out home barber
That's exactly
stuff.
right. That's basically what happened. And
What was it about your barber going experience that made you feel so great?
that it was actually a good haircut. I thought I had been doing a good job. Like, and actually, probably to pat myself on the back, I think for cutting your own hair with scissors, I think I did a pretty darn good job. But then, like, it's not a professional. And so once I left a professional, it's like, oh yeah, this is what it's like when you get your hair done well.
Yeah.
And so
Even and no holes.
yeah. And so then I went to a barbershop in Champaign for a while, a guy who runs a shop there, and then asked him for advice of where to take my son to go to a good actual barbershop, for his kind of hair.
Yeah.
He's African American for those who don't know. And he sent me to this really cool guy named Hector on the U of I's campus.
Oh,
and
nice.
I kind of fell in love with Hector. He kind of
Good guy.
It's a credible guy. He also just so happens to cut like the entire U of I basketball team's hair. So like all those guys, Kofi, Curbelo, they all go see Hector.
Oh, that's cool.
And basically I switched to Hector. So now Hector's my guy. And I go see Hector. So this is Ziri and I go see Hector on.
Are you hoping that this gets you in on the U of I men's basketball team?
I'm.
Do you tell people that like you guys are in the same orbit?
Oh no, I'm hoping it actually gets me on the team.
You want to? You have eligibility.
Well, I haven't. Yeah, I've got 4 years. Plus
You
the
gotta-
the super senior year.
That's your biggest selling point, is that you got 5 full years available.
Yeah,
You're pitching quantity over quality.
that's right. Yeah.
You're like, look, coach, all these players, they're one and dones. You got me for 5 years, Bubby.
5
You got
years.
me for 5 years.
I'm a 40-year-old. I will not bring you drama. Those 19-year-olds are annoying. I'm not gonna have any of that. I'm not gonna
None
have
of
any drama. I'll show
None
up
of
there
it.
on time. I'll do whatever you want me to do in practice. You can yell at me if you want to like set an example and you need somebody to be the example. I'll be that guy. I'll just
You want to coach on the floor? I'm a coach on the floor.
right. It all started with Hector and going
Okay.
to see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. No, it looks great. So Hector did this job that I'm looking at here with the lightsaber.
He did. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Was this a now I know you've said that when you shave, you look you can't leave the house for 2 days or else people will
Actually, it's
recoil
funny.
in fear.
I just shaved about 20 minutes ago. So I think
Well,
for
look at
whatever
that.
reason, you and I are on a schedule where I'm cleanly shaven every time we do.
We got to do a podcast
Pod.
every time we shave.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I will say that along with the nice clean haircut, the freshly shaved look, it's great.
Thank you.
I know that you said that you don't like the freshly shaved look, or it's not peak. It's not peak face.
Right. It's not peak. It's not me at my fighting. It's not my fighting face yet. Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't want to go into the ring with this face. Too
Right.
smooth. But in a couple of days, I'll be interested to see what you think because
I'll send you a picture of my face in 2 days.
I'm telling you, the combination of the clean cut with the fresh face, it's looking good.
Thank you.
It's looking good.
Thank you so much. You and me are you and I are really are total opposites. Not only in our backgrounds, which you're all white and looking cool.
Well, let's be honest. Your background, it's not. It's yeah, mine's a little bit brighter than yours, but mine is a complete pigsty, and
Right.
yours is just a nice, clean office.
Well, it's a Lego
Like,
office.
that's the big difference.
That's true.
Is yours looks nice? It looks like a professional adult, uses that room.
Oh, it does.
My-
It does.
mine-
There's like this room is literally a Lego room. That's what's
Well-
on all these are Lego sets.
But see, it's all blurred out. You can't really tell what's,
This one
what's
right
back
here-
there.
This one right here is a Moana. This is the Moana shelf. This is
It's very professional. It's very professional.
Moana. That's Star Wars.
You don't think there are Moana Lego sets and C-suites across the nation? There are. There's
right.
Legos everywhere.
I just love that you call this a professional office.
I mean,
It's literally an 8-year-old's office.
comparatively, mine looks like the office of a squatter.
Look at my mug.
Cup of friendship. I like that mug. That's like is that made out of rock? Is that
It's
rock?
like a stone here, but it's a good. Courtney and I saw it at a little shop, little home shop, and it was
Yeah.
way too expensive to pay for one mug. But we loved that we had a mug, and that at the bottom of the mug says in all lowercase letters,
Very blurry.
very blurry,
It says cup of friendship.
"Cup of Friendship."
I like the look of it. It's very sleek.
Look
Was
at
that made in a kiln?
Look at
you
that
think?
bokeh. Look at that blurry background. Look at that.
I mean, I think I've asked you this before, but what's that lens?
Oh,
we got a
20. We got a 20 mil 1.8.
1.8. See, that's I like that. That's slick. That's fast. Love those
Hey.
fast lenses.
Hey Warren.
Yep.
Hey Warren. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You teased over text message
I know. Yeah. I knew this was coming.
that you had a pivot in an idea for a pivot for the pod, and you wanted to pitch it to me live on air, live to tape, and
Yeah.
and I'm very nervous. This is like when your significant other says, "Hey, when you
Look,
get
we gotta
home,
talk.
we
We
gotta
gotta
talk. Before the kids get home, we need to talk."
Yeah. So I will occasionally have these little bolts, these little lightning bolts hit my brain when it comes to the podcast and what we could potentially do with it. And one of the bolts of lightning that hit my head, I don't know if you ever did this when you were I'm going to say this was late middle school when I was doing this. Me and some friends, we would get together and we would start writing a story, right? And each person would write a couple of lines or maybe like a short paragraph. And
We
you would
still
just
do
kinda
this. We still do this like in the car with the kids. We'll still do
You
a little.
do?
Yes.
You do, and then you just kind of piggyback on everybody's what preceded you, and then you
Right.
just kind of create this story. So I was thinking, oh, that would be maybe a cool idea for a podcast where the people involved, you and me in this example, would create a story through weaving together all these different back and forth, details, and that's about as far as I got with it. As
I like that you stopped literally in the middle of a sentence. Just
well, that's about it. And that's
here's what I was
usually-
thinking. I was thinking that we would put together all of these different people, and that's about where how far I got.
Yeah, because what usually happens when I have ideas about anything is that I feel like I have a really good idea,
Right.
and I think, oh, this has potential. And then when I start to flesh it out, I start to see the holes in it, or
Sure.
I don't immediately figure out like, oh, the next great detail that makes it great, and then I just start to sour on it. And that's kind of what happened almost immediately after I texted you, and so that I had this great idea about a podcast. Because although I do like the idea of, having just generally a podcast that each season you could say is its own story, I was struggling to figure out how exactly that would work, how the story would develop.
So
because
Are you saying like then like in one episode you would start talking about a story, and you would talk for a couple of minutes, and then I would pick it up and I would keep talking, or what do you mean?
Well, no, because that would suck. I feel like that would
That's
be
kinda what I was-
terrible.
That's kind of what I
It
was
would be
thinking. Yeah.
it'd be terrible if I was just telling a story, then stopped, and then you started telling. No, that would be terrible.
Okay.
what
Good.
the podcast would be, I would think, in this scenario is you and I basically hashing out details. Like, okay, we know that in our story the main character is Gary, and Gary has a motorized bicycle, and it's like, and so we're just basically talking about the details of the story, and then I don't know how the story then would be created, because then it would require one or
Work.
both of us to do to do
Require
something
the preparation.
outside of the podcast, which, as we've discussed, is very dicey. Yeah, so
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? I kind of think so really more. It's kind of like a live pitch meeting, or like a writer's
Yeah.
room. We're like you and I are in a writer's room,
Right.
and we're coming
Yeah.
up with
you got it.
a movie,
We're tracking.
and we're just kind of spitball. We're kind of spitballing. We're throwing
Yeah.
things at the wall. We're throwing things at the wall.
Yeah.
There's no bad ideas. There's no bad ideas.
Yeah.
I said, let's try it. Let's try it for an episode, just for fun. It probably will be terrible.
It will be terrible. I know it will be terrible, and that's why I soured on it. But yeah, maybe that could be our second half here. We started. What time did we start? 9:30. It's 9:50 currently on April Fool's Day, of all days. You know, there is no podcast. Always very timely.
How about this for an idea?
Yeah, go.
What if right now I cold texted a friend of mine and
Yeah.
said, "Hop on Zoom. You're on the pod."
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Who should we text?
I don't know. We've already done Dave. I feel like he'd be game, but we've done Dave.
We've done Dave.
We've done Dave.
We've done Dave.
Um,
Let's see. Who who's not working a job right now?
Yeah, because it's peak working hours. Although it is Friday, so maybe
Friday.
somebody took a Friday off.
Let's see.
Nice 3-day weekend.
Who could we text? Who could we message?
You think-
One of the
you think
Ryans.
Scott's. Yeah, one of the Ryans.
Ryan Wills. Okay. He's usually a very good texter. You busy, bro?
Okay.
And this is all in text, or this is all caps. You busy, bro?
All caps. Wow.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna send him the link and say, if not, hop on Zoom.
There we go.
You're in all caps now. You're on the pod.
You made the pod, Ryan. we can pitch Ryan the idea for the pivot,
Okay.
the pod pivot.
All right. There it is.
So yeah, I
it's
mean,
been asked, and if he clicks it, he'll be right
Great.
on with us.
great. So yeah, but just very generally, 30,000 foot view. If you saw or heard about a podcast that the premise of it was each season is its own story that the hosts create throughout the season. I mean, that sounds like it could be something, right? That sounds like it's a podcast, right?
Say it again.
So each season, the host, the team on the podcast, whoever it is, two very good-looking guys who are great friends,
Right.
they create a story from scratch, cover to cover, and like that's the that's the season of the podcast, and each season is a different story that they create from scratch, just kind of going back and forth. Now, you would probably hear that and be like, well, how do they do that? And then you would discover it from listening to the podcast. But I mean, that sounds like it would be a good podcast, right?
If those two guys were established writers of other things that I liked.
It's true. That's
For
true.
instance,
They'd have to be good at writing, right? They'd have to be good at telling stories, right? That would be
Every couple months, I just naturally find myself down a Craig Kilborn rabbit hole.
wow. Craig Kilborn. I've not thought of that guy in years.
He's on my Mount Rushmore of Jerry's all-time favorite
I
entertainers, or whatever you want to call them, personalities.
Yeah.
I love Craig Kilborn. I could talk about a whole hour on Craig Kilborn and how underrated and underappreciated Craig Kilborn was.
What has he been doing in the last 15 years?
That's part of the whole mystique of Krager's, is that so he was on the Daily Show way back, and then he went from the Daily Show to I'm sorry, he was on Sports Center
Yeah.
and then went to the Daily Show, and then went
Mhm.
from the Daily Show and was on the Late Late Show on CBS.
Right.
And
How
I
long
think
did he have that show?
5 or 6 years.
Okay, that's longer
And
than I would have guessed.
yeah, and he essentially, according to him, and nothing else has ever come out since then. He just it came time for his contract, like renewal. He's just like, yeah, I'm just done with it. I'm just kind of bored with the whole late night humor. He's like, I had this vision for my style of what late night could look like, which is essentially, think Conan O'Brien, polar opposite. Conan O'Brien,
Mhm.
very self-depreciating, and Kreger's personality is complete opposite, where it's like, look how good looking I am, I'm amazing,
Sure.
aren't I great?
Almost like a Stephen Colbert thing, but not like hard right wing.
Yeah. Just look how awesome I am,
Sure.
which is really hard to do and still be likable. That's a super hard thing.
It's
think
very
to pull
hard
off.
in comedy to do. You never want to come off as being better than people.
And so he just stepped away, and then he was in, if you remember, he played a small part in, what was the Will Ferrell party movie where he played Old School.
Oh.
He was in Old School.
Old School, yeah. I remember that.
He played a really
Vaguely.
kind of small, like the douchebag boyfriend in Old
Yeah.
School.
Yeah.
But then in the past couple
Killed
years, he's popped back up on Instagram, and he's my favorite
Okay.
thing. He's the only reason I open up Instagram is to see if Craig Kilborn has posted it, because he'll just do little videos, and it's classic Krager's talking about how today I'm just hanging out in my mahogany library and drinking, watching classic movies and stuff. He's great. Well, why was I talking about Craig Kilborn? Oh, so I went down a rabbit hole yesterday and found one of his original writers from his late night show, or the two
Okay.
writers from his late night show that he would always, he would, like, during late night show, he would refer to Gibby and Goldie all the time. And like, when you're watching, who's Gibby and Goldie? Who's he talking about? And it turns out those were his main writers.
Okay.
Those guys have a podcast now. I instantly
Oh.
subscribed. I can't wait to listen, because like, if those guys were in the DNA of that late night show, I'm gonna
Sure.
love this podcast.
Right.
And so if I heard of Gibby and Goldie had a
They're
podcast where they're making
we're
a
doing
story,
it.
I'm
You're
all,
like,
I'm all
in.
for
I'm
it.
in.
Yeah.
Two random guys in the Midwest, though, you'd say that's probably going to be garbage.
Right, probably.
Yeah.
But why not?
Okay. That's a fair point. Gibby and Goldie. So you have not listened to this podcast yet.
I haven't. Do you have? Okay, so Craig Kilborn is like my favorite late night show or any kind of host that I watch and I can't get enough of. In
Mhm.
college, I would watch him every night, like going to bed. Right.
Mhm.
Do you have a late night, like a
No,
favorite
that was
late night person?
Conan.
Oh, it is Conan. Okay.
For sure. I liked Letterman as well.
Yeah.
He was very. I mean, there was a period of time where I was even watching Jay Leno somewhat regularly, just because late night programming was so good. I feel like
Right.
for a period of time, and certainly when the whole Conan and Leno fiasco went down, like it
Yeah.
was really great. No, but even before that, I vividly remember reading a news article about how Conan O'Brien was taking over late night, TV. And this was kind of before people were really talking about him as being the next, great late night host.
Yeah.
He had his show for a number of years, but there was this article that was just like Conan O'Brien is poised to be like the next big thing in late night TV, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about this for years. This guy's so hilarious, and just the style of humor, it's just out of left field a lot of times. And when there was the writer's strike and he was having to do everything himself, I feel like that was some of his like best
Great.
stuff.
Yeah.
He had
Mhm.
like the switcher on his desk, and he was like switching cameras from his desk.
Right.
Put his desk at the back of the. I mean, just all kinds of
Yeah.
weird, crazy stuff. It was great. I love it.
We've seen Conan in person twice.
Really.
Once in New York City and once in Indianapolis after the Super Bowl. Oh no, that was Jimmy Fallon. We saw Jimmy Fallon in Indianapolis after the Super Bowl, but we saw Conan in person in New York, and he came out beforehand, and it was crazy how tall and like
Yeah.
ghostly that guy looked. It was kind of like, if no joke, if you saw him in the street, you'd be like, something like he's about to die. That's how he looked. We also saw Jon Stewart in person, or I did with my brother back in 2012. We saw The Daily Show. It is amazing how short that guy is. Crazy short. But
Very
that was
short.
also when Stephen Colbert was one of his
Correspondence.
correspondents. And so we were like the first ones in line. This was my brother, his wife at the time, and myself. We were in line, and Colbert comes out. I think just like somebody was dropping something off or whatever. came over, talked to us for maybe like a good 3 to 5 minutes, like a long time, just talking with us, asking where we're from. He was insanely nice, and we were playing it cool. And then like these other fans come up finally, like, oh my gosh, it's Stephen Colbert. And then he was like, okay guys, we gotta go, we gotta see him. We were like, we were so pissed. Like he was like, Colbert was like taking time with us. You come over here, you start geeking out, and then he
Yeah,
pieces out.
spooked him. Spooked him.
Spooked him. You spooked him.
You spooked Stephen Colbert. Yeah, no, he's I feel like I enjoyed his show on Comedy Central a little bit more than his late night stuff. You know, it's just a little different, a little bit more kind of middle of the road, kind of bland. I mean, he's still a funny guy, still a great guy, but there's a few clips here and there that I really enjoy. But overall,
I'll say who I've started to like more is Jimmy Kimmel. I feel like he is becoming less flat out mean, but the more I've been watching him, and I'll just watch like little, YouTube, the algorithm will show me Jimmy knows that I must like it because they'll show me stuff, and I'll watch clips. But like, oh yeah, he's becoming more and more like, I think he is now our new David Letterman. Like where his humor.
Is he more like the throwback, like kind of, because it seems like the format has changed so much, as far as what, like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, it's like all he wants to do is goofy games and chum around, which is fine, but I don't find that entertaining.
No, I don't find it entertaining.
I feel like Jimmy Kimmel is more of a, let's take it back to kind of what this used to be, a little bit more straight, but I don't know. I don't really watch.
The humor has a little bit more bite to it, I guess. And he is sarcastic, so like he's not afraid to like with his guests, give his guests a little bit of a hard time. And again, it's not mean, but whereas like with Jimmy Fallon, everything's amazing. Oh my gosh, you're the greatest ever. And Jimmy Kimmel isn't afraid to like just give him a little bit of crap here and there, which I just is more real to me. But yeah, I've liked the more Jimmy Kimmel lately. I think he's now my main late night guy.
Okay.
Sure, I've said it. Okay.
You're on record. You're a Kimmel guy. I want to go back and talk about Craig Kilborn some more because I feel like there's a little bit more to harvest there.
Please.
I know that Jon Stewart came in and replaced him on the Daily Show, and God, look at that! It's just we're looking at that. Look at that line in the hair. Hector with the lightsaber, just killing it.
So Jon Stewart came on after
Craig Kilborn and really took the Daily Show to another level, I would say, right?
For sure.
Although I will say I preferred the Craig Kilborn Daily Show. It was a completely different show. I mean, first of all, it's apples and oranges, and not to say that I didn't enjoy the Jon Stewart Daily Show, because I did. I thought it was very good and very funny. But man, like, the Craig Kilborn show was it was perfect. It was perfect. And I think that maybe, I don't know if he was trying to recreate that on his late show later. I mean, obviously slightly different, but he was never able to recapture that style, I would say.
You mean on his late night show?
Yes.
See,
Would you agree?
I'll have to go back and watch some of the Daily Show clips. How long was he on the Daily Show? He was on the Daily Show for... Let's see. He was on Daily Show from not only 3 years, 93 to 96.
But I mean, he was the first host, right? Was there anybody before Craig Kilborn?
Let's see. Daily Show, SportsCenter, late night. Okay, the Daily Show started in. No, you're right. Yeah. Craig Kilborn would have been the first.
Yeah.
Or 96 through 98 is when he was there.
Craig Kilborn was one of those guys on SportsCenter that really made SportsCenter what it is today, which is actually not really anything like what it was when those, like him, Dan Patrick,
right,
Rich Eisen a little bit later. What's his name? The guy who's very left-wing political now, Keith Olbermann. Like all these guys made the late great Stuart Scott. With their catchphrases, and they became the reason why you would watch SportsCenter. I mean, obviously you're watching SportsCenter because of all the highlights and all that stuff, but
I always just loved his version. Whenever Craigers came on, and he would always refer to himself as Craigers, which I loved. But he would whenever he hosted SportsCenter, it was always the real feel-good edition of SportsCenter. Welcome to the feel-good edition with SportsCenter with Craig Kilborn and Rich Eisen.
I think that was the difference with Craig Kilborn at Sports Center and then on the Daily Show is that he did have that kind of I'm feeling myself vibe at all times.
Yeah.
But it was like it was more it was a little softer. Once he went to his late night show, I feel like it had a little bit more of an edge. And maybe that was by design. Maybe he wanted it to be like, ooh, I'm going to be a little bit edgier with this and be a little bit more pointed with this stuff. But I feel like he was a little bit more aloof in his narcissism, maybe.
I think that's what it is. I think when he went to his late night show, I think he just doubled down on the "Aren't I amazing?" I mean, he would literally stop in like the middle of just a bit and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go reflect on a job well done, and he would like walk over to the sets
mirror or something.
No, he would like walk over to the sets like little window that would overlook like the fake landscape of Hollywood and be like, wow, it's a Friday and I'm just reflecting on a job well done. And then and he would also he would be his own announcer at the beginning. And so like it would be like, tonight we Tom Cruise and blah 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 and your host Craig Kilborn, and he would come out and just like dance around, and it's brilliant. Like to be your own announcer, to announce yourself coming on. It was just like I truly don't feel people like appreciated it enough, or I don't think it was like I just couldn't get enough of that kind of stuff, and he pulled it off so well.
I feel like that maybe would have been an era where people weren't quite as tuned into shticks, right? Like the Colbert Report, right? I feel like on the front end of that, a lot of people weren't quite clear. It's almost like professional wrestling and what do they call that? Kayfabe, right? It's like these guys are putting forth a persona.
Yep. And
for many years, people just assumed that's what they were like in real life. And then, it kind of peaked in the 90s and early 2000s where, where's reality, where's, kayfabe. And then now it's just like everybody knows that what everybody is putting forth on the internet is some sort of altered version of reality.
Well, and that's what I was going to say about Kilborn is I feel like I still don't know who he really is. So I texted a clip of him, a fairly recent one where he's a huge like Minnesota Timberwolves fan. I guess he's from Minnesota or that area.
Okay. And
so he was on the Timberwolves social media account, and somebody was interviewing him. This goofy little clip. And I sent it to a buddy of mine, and he said, like, I just wonder what he's like in real life. Like, I wonder, like, when all the cameras are off and he's around his buddies, is that him? Or is he, I mean, because I don't think I've ever seen him, like, okay, this is what he's like. Like, with Conan, I feel like he's so self-depreciating, and if you listen to his podcast, I feel like you get a pretty good idea of who Conan O'Brien probably is in real life. He's probably super funny, but also like goofy and like throwing darts at everybody.
Yes, right.
But Craig Kilborn, I truly don't know. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this is really, if his real personality is this, but just like toned down a little bit. But he's still. I
think that's it. I think that's it.
Like the best way I could describe it is a guy that will never laugh at somebody else's joke. You know what I'm saying? You know those. You know.
Because they're jealous of the
I don't know. So yesterday, just doing work, I listened to a 40-minute interview when he was on the Rich Eisen show like 2 years ago. It was he was on the Rich Eisen show on NFL Network. He's on there for like 40 minutes, and I noticed the whole time, and they were talking back and forth, but didn't laugh once. And I was like, man, I wonder if this is just like part of his shtick. Is this like I'm too cool to laugh at somebody else's joke? And he was nice.
His laugh.
He might, but he was even nice. Like Rich, I mean, he's very complimentary of Rich Eisen, telling him how great he is and stuff like that. So it wasn't even like him like not being afraid of like not wanting to pump somebody else up. But I did notice like the only time he laughs or chuckles is like in response to one of his own jokes. Never laughed at Rich Eisen the whole time. I thought it was interesting, but
that is interesting. But to your question of what are these people actually like, I do think that in pretty much every case, it's always and you hear this in interviews where people talk about the personas that they portray on online or on TV or whatever. It's always just kind of an amped up version of themselves.
Yeah,
which makes sense. It would be very difficult to live your entire life portraying a character that you didn't really ever relate to.
Right.
Are you familiar with Nathan For You? Nathan.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
remember. There's another one where this guy lives his entire life basically portraying a persona
Yeah.
Even his social media accounts, his personal social media accounts, keep up the shtick of this guy who's completely alienated from basically everybody, and has no friends, and is just very super socially awkward. But you know that, I mean, he goes on talk shows and he's very awkward.
Yeah.
It's like he cannot be that awkward. It's just
So
impossible.
Nathan, for you, I think is, I don't know, man. If I was doing a Mount Rushmore of my, if I really sat down and thought about all my favorite shows, that might be on my Mount Rushmore of all time favorite shows.
It's really good, and it's very, it's a good show for the times, right?
Yeah, but like I have another friend, other friends who I told like you should watch this, who watch it and can't watch it because I think this is a mean show. They're kind of like so for anybody who doesn't know Nathan, for you, he plays like this business guru who really doesn't know anything at all, and he goes into these supposedly these real life businesses and situations and tries to help them, but his solutions just keep getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
And they're terrible. They're all terrible,
awful, and they a lot of them kind of make the people who do it, I guess, look kind of stupid for falling for his tricks. So sure. I do get it.
I'm and I feel the same way too. I don't like stuff like that. I don't like I don't like comedy that goes to unassuming people and basically makes them look silly or puts them in uncomfortable positions. I get secondhand embarrassment pretty easily when I see stuff that's like cringy. So yeah, that kind of stuff I don't really like. But I feel like Nathan For You's just slightly different, just because he is, I don't know, he is
making fun of himself the whole time too. I mean, the opening credits say, sure. I went to a business school with really good grades, and it shows his report card with like C's and like a B minus. Did you? Okay, now, man, we're talking about stuff like deep cut cultural stuff that nobody else is going to care about but us. But whatever, nobody listens to this anyway. What did you think about the Nathan For You series finale? Did you watch it?
No, I heard. Wasn't there like, it was like there was a lady that he was getting? I'd heard about it. There's
a lady
gosh, that he was getting.
You have to
watch it. Sincerely, like
I don't know.
Although,
we
don't know.
It's one of the most, I think, masterfully like created pieces of television. No joke, I've ever seen. Like, I still think about it to this day, wondering what actually happened in that show. It was poignant and funny, but super confusing. It was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen on TV.
Yeah.
Your homework is to watch, between now and the next time we record, is to watch the series finale of Nathan For You. I think it's like an hour or hour and a half long. It's pretty long. I need you to watch it. And you don't have to really have watched any of the, like, all the episodes leading up to it, I don't think.
Sure. I
mean, he does go back. It does revolve around one person that he used throughout the series before. Actually, like, he has a guy who plays a Bill Gates impersonator throughout the show. He uses a couple of times. And so the show revolves around that guy, the impersonator, like his real life. The final episode does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Okay.
And then Nathan Fielder also, have you watched on HBO? What's the HBO show? How To with John Wilson. How To with John Wilson.
I've never heard of this in my life.
I think you'd really like it because it's made by Nathan Fielder. It has definitely a Nathan Fielder vibe to it. When you and I didn't know it was Nathan Fielder at first. Then when I heard it was behind it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Basically, this filmmaker John Wilson goes around New York City with the camera, literally films everything he does in his life, films anything he sees, and then creates like these little 30-minute episodes where he kind of has this narrative. And as he's talking about something in life, like a life lesson, he'll show something crazy, some crazy New York scene that had nothing to do with it, but helps kind of. It's actually really fun. It's a good show to watch, one and done. You don't have to like sit and watch it in a row. If you just like, I want something kind of fun to watch, 30 minutes, low commitment. Check it out. How To with John Wilson.
Okay.
I think you'll like
How To with John Wilson. HBO.
Mm-hmm. HBO.
Okay. I sent you that Stella series. Have you popped that in? Have you popped that into the old PlayStation 2 and watched that? There it is, baby. Stella.
Let me tell the
God, I love.
Let me tell the listeners about this guy Warren.
Congratulations to Michael Showalter for being and directing a movie where that main actress got the Academy Award.
What?
Just wanted to say that. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain, she won Best Actress, and Michael Showalter was the director of
Really?
The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. We'll talk about that more on our Oscars show, our Oscars edition of the pod. Let me tell the listener about this guy Warren. Let me kind of talk to these guys. Yeah.
About me?
Hold up one second. I'm getting a call from Walgreens. Decline.
That's about your prescription, buddy.
Soon after the pod started, we talked about baseball cards. Talked about my son, Viking baseball cards.
Yep.
Talking about the how Ziri went to the party and a kid fleeced him, told him, here's a Fernando Tatis senior card because he's better. He's the dad. Got to be better. My son fell for it.
He did hit, 4 home runs in one game?
Yeah, 2 grand slams in one inning.
2 grand slams in one inning, yes.
That's right, against the Dodgers. Warren sent to our house to Ziri some baseball cards, including a Fernando Tatis card.
That's right,
This guy here.
That's right, baby.
And
Everybody's got
then-
to have a Tatis Jr.
One night, Warren and I were talking about Stella and how you can't find it streaming anywhere except on YouTube. And this guy sent me in the mail a
Look at
DVD of Stella. Look at this
Season
guy.
1. That's the entire series right there that you're holding.
This guy.
Entire series.
And me being the jokester, what was my response to you? Instead of saying, "Hey, thanks for the DVD," what did I say to you over text message?
Oh, so they send me a DVD player as well? Which is, yeah. Do you have a DVD player? No. I told you use your PlayStation 2.
I know we don't have a PlayStation. We had a Xbox One or whatever it was, but lost it in the fire. Thanks for reminding me.
Sorry, this is bringing up old wounds now. I had originally had a copy of that for many years. I got it when it first came out. I loved Stella, loved the show. I was heartbroken when it didn't get renewed for a second season because I thought it was hilarious and great and ahead of its time, which I think has proven to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And thought I lost it, so I was, the day that I realized that I thought I lost it, I was beside myself, and I immediately went to the internet and purchased a copy of season 1, the entire series, again on Amazon, which I think was like $8 or something. It was incredibly cheap. So and then I later found the original copy that I had. So yeah.
Everything is under control here at TV20. As you know, we really take great pride in our technical excellence. We're having a little problem, but we're trying to get it fixed. Keep calm. Nothing's wrong with your set. Hey, guys, hang on. Hurry up. Whoopi, don't worry. It's going to be fixed any minute now. Hurry up. Do something.
TV20.
Okay, sorry. Now I'm recording. Yeah, now you sound great.
Yay.
How do I sound?
You sound good. You're upside down, but
Okay,
you
good.
sound good.
So we had Zoom crashed right in the middle of us talking about, what were we talking about?
Stella?
And the second time Zoom's crashed on us, which is
Yeah,
super
what's up with that?
frustrating.
What's up with
I
that,
know.
Zoom?
So now we're trying a new website that I have read about. I've heard is really good.
Riverdale High School.
Riverside.
Riverside.
And my camera is upside down. They won't let me flip my camera.
No.
But
Are
that's
you
okay.
Are you familiar with the band Starflyer 59?
No. Should I be?
Oh man, I think you would like them. Actually, that's something I wanted to talk to you about this time around. I wanted to talk
Okay,
to you about
go on.
music. You ever heard of music?
I have some of it.
So Starflyer 59 is a band, but
Okay.
it is primarily just one dude. His name is Jason Martin,
Okay.
and he's from Riverside, California. So Riverside made me think of Jason Martin.
What kind of music is Starflyer 59?
Shoegaze?
What?
Shoegaze?
What kind of music is it?
Shoegaze?
Shoegaze? What does that mean?
Shoegaze. You haven't heard of shoegaze music? Shoegazer?
No. Here, I'm playing some music right now. Can you hear
Good.
this in your headphones?
No.
No? Okay, well, I can hear it in my headphones. Okay,
Good
I
for
get
you.
it.
Are you listening to shoegaze? Or are you playing Starflyer 59?
Oh, here we go. It looks like I need to search. Oh, in this thing we can do...
Actually, Starflyer 59 started out as a Christian band. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would say started out. They've had connections to Christian labels
Oh, okay.
and whatnot more early on.
Look in here. Look here. So in this software, I can add little drops. Watch this.
Wow, that's pretty
Thank you.
slick. Oh,
Thank you.
thunderous applause.
Thunderous applause. There you go.
This is
We're gonna be like a little radio station. soon.
where'd you hear about this?
I was looking it up a few months ago, just 'cause when I was expecting our podcast to really take off. I was
which
like,
it
all right,
has.
which it has.
So good thing.
This is one of the options that looked pretty good, but but you can add drops in here. So like we can do, here's a transition.
Oh,
Now we're going to talk about
Craig Kilborn.
Stella.
Hit the whoosh. Oh, that's gonna help. That's gonna help a lot.
That's going to help a lot. Yep. So there you have it. So,
So
this is our new.
and you've called it Zoom Crash. So is there a reason why you have to have your camera upside down in your setup?
Just the setup of
Just
my,
the way that it, yeah,
hold up, can I do this? What if I do this? What
the
if I do a little
ergonomics
bit
of it all.
the ergonomics of this of the room that I'm in?
Yeah.
So let's see.
Whoa,
There's my camera.
We've entered the
There's
matrix.
my camera.
Yeah,
And there's
Jeremiah's
the
showing me.
There's the little Lego pieces.
Yep.
See the Lego?
Yep.
And then this is my desk. So yeah, just the way I have to have it set up right now.
Well, let's do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
So I'm glad we hopped back on here though.
Yeah, for the last like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, so we're I think we're getting towards the end of our time here. I did want to chat with you about music, but we could do that at another time.
Okay.
Primarily I was just curious what sort of you listen to a lot of music? Do you listen to music?
Not near as much as you would think I would. I'm a podcast. I'll listen to podcasts all day, every day.
Okay.
But
that really seems to be the distinction between people is you're either a podcast person or you're a music person. I'm absolutely a music person.
It's like you get in the car, you turn music on.
Yeah.
See, I don't ever turn music on in the car. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Ben Rector came out with a new album a couple weeks ago.
You mentioned this person. I think you mentioned
he's
this
one of my
person
favorite
before.
artists.
Yeah.
And I listened to that album and I was like, man, why don't I listen to more music during the day? It makes me in a better mood. Yeah. Not that like the podcasts I listen to are make me in a bad mood by any means. Like, I don't listen to depressing stuff. Right? But I was like, yeah, this actually gives me some energy and helps me, getting some productive, but I don't know why I don't.
Yeah.
So what's your go-to?
Before I go on, looking at you upside down for this long, I'm getting that like you ever see that optical illusion where it's the woman's face that's upside down? You're like, nothing's wrong with this face, right? Mm-hmm. And then you turn it upside down and her eyes are upside down.
Right. So
that's what it looks like. Well, I don't know if this is much better. I can see part of your groin.
Okay, hold up.
At least sideways.
I might unplug it. This might turn into big trouble if my USB gets unplugged here. Hold up. Oh, I almost got it.
Oh, you're there. Look at that. See, you thought you needed it upside down.
I had a doctor's appointment, an online doctor's appointment earlier this week, and their software also doesn't allow you to flip it. So I was talking to my doctor like this, looking up at him.
Upside down. You were upside down?
No. I put it like this.
Oh,
which is a much more steep angle, but much higher.
Oh, I see.
And so I felt weird, like talking to him up here. Hey, Dr. Kim, thanks for the medicine.
Good. This is like a hero shot.
It is, but it's hard to like look at. I can't look at you. This is me looking at you. This is me looking at the camera.
Oh, okay.
Me looking at you. Me looking at the camera.
I see.
There you go.
What kind of music has Ben Garnett?
Ben Garnett. He plays piano mainly.
Okay. Like classical piano or like pop piano? Is there pop piano?
He's singer-songwriter.
Okay. Like Ben Folds? Ben Folds?
A little more upbeat
goofy.
than Ben Folds. I think that you would actually. I'm sure you've heard of some Ben Rector. Your wife has definitely heard of Ben Rector.
Yeah, my wife. Any song that starts with piano, she's feeling it.
He's super popular in women, our wives' ages love Ben Rector. But I think he's awesome, and but he's a pretty wide on his newest album. Snoop Dogg's on one of his songs. Who else is
Snoop Dogg feature?
Who's the famous saxophone player? You know who I'm talking about. Like
Kenny G.
Kenny G's on one of the songs.
Okay.
So he's kind of variety.
Okay.
But he has some big songs. I'm sure you would know.
Okay.
But
Yeah, no, I have a very eclectic mix, and I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast before, but there was a period of time before I got a Spotify account where I thought my musical journey was basically over, and that any music I would listen to going forward for the rest of my life would be, stuff I was already familiar with for the most part.
right.
But having gotten a Spotify account and discovered Discover Weekly,
Love that. Love this Discover Weekly.
oh my goodness, yeah. So that's really opened up all kinds of new avenues of
Who's your favorite? I've got one. Who's your favorite? Oh, and also remind me. It's just happened to my brain before we end. Ryan, one of the Ryans, did respond to me with what they thought was a near perfect movie. So we've got that.
Okay.
Maybe we'll end with that.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite artist you have discovered on Spotify Discover Weekly thanks to their algorithms?
Well, you know how I hate questions like these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my playlists on Spotify, because I actually have a playlist. It's called Choice Nugs. I've even created a little
Share that
thumbnail
with
for
me.
it.
Share that with me. Share it
You
with
want
me,
that?
bro.
So these
Send it
are
to me.
these are basically songs that I wasn't really familiar with, that I've discovered through Discover Weekly, or just newer songs to me.
Okay.
And I've been curating this for many, many years. Actually, you know what? Right off the bat, I've talked about him before. Conan Moccasin. This is a guy that I was not aware of. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan. I wouldn't say that I listen to all of this guy's content.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a number of songs that I find very interesting. He's a bit of a weird guy.
Okay.
But that would be one. Golly, let me just real quick here go to one of my more recent playlists.
I think you've talked about him before.
I have.
Moccasin guy.
I have. Actually, you know what? Just last night, I was what's his name? Niles Lofgren. I think he's an E Street Band guy. He's played with Bruce Springsteen. He's played with Neil Young. He's a guitarist.
Okay.
I was only vaguely familiar with the guy. Well, he was in a band early on in his career called Grin, Grin, Grin.
Okay.
Very good stuff. I listened a little bit to their debut album last night, and I was like, man, I really like this. I would have never listened to any Grin, probably, if not for Spotify Discover Weekly. I know they're getting raked over the coals because of Joe Rogan stuff, but my goodness, that algorithm is amazing.
I will say, I have with Apple Music, I have played the same song on Spotify, and then played it on Apple Music.
Yeah,
It is noticeable, and I'm not being
The
like an
quality.
audio. Yeah,
Quality.
I'm not being an audio nerd here. Like, it is noticeable how much better the Apple Music quality is.
Yeah, I have heard that. Although you can change the setting. Are you changing the setting with Spotify on the?
Of course.
So you've
Best
got
quality.
it maxed out. You've got it maxed out.
Always,
Okay.
always. Day one, I did that.
Okay. See, I don't do that. I don't know. I'm that way with audio. I'm that way with video too. Are you one of these guys that like requires ultra UHD? You're like, if I'm watching a movie, it's got to be UHD.
Why wouldn't I? What's
I'm
the
leaving.
downside? What's the downside to it?
I understand that is preferable, and that like if you have a choice, yeah, you're gonna want it to have the best picture. But it doesn't bother me as much as it does other people, especially other people that are like video people. Like we're video people.
Yeah.
You and me, we're video people. I'm not bothered by a kind of a crappy, grainy movie. I mean, to a point. If it's hard to see anything, then yeah, I don't want that. But I will
say
there are people that I know that will not watch a movie unless it's at least Blu-ray quality.
I can actually kind of get that. Maybe not movie, but whenever during the pandemic our family was watching Survivor.
Yeah.
And we kind of picked it up with one of the newer episodes. And I was like, hey, let's go back and watch from the beginning. And we started to watch it, and that the 4:3 format, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. It was so, and I was so annoyed at myself for disliking it so much. Does that make sense? Like,
No, yeah, I get
and
it.
definitely my kids and like Livy was definitely like, I don't want to watch one of those. I want
Yeah.
one, and I get it there. But I was like, I should be able to power through and watch this, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, there are movies that I've watched that I'm very familiar with that I've only ever seen like on TV, kind of crappy quality, whatever. And then I do watch a Blu-ray or UHD version of the movie, and it is a better experience. It is a
for
more
sure.
enjoyable experience, and so it does. I understand that it makes a difference. I don't know. I guess I'm not as bent out of shape when it's not like that to a degree, but on the flip side, I don't know if you ever remember when you like going from your first tube television to your first like flat, nicer,
The flat
higher
screen,
quality
yeah.
flat screen TV. It's almost like too real. It's almost too much when
Yeah.
when you started watching TV like that. Do you remember that feeling?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, those were awesome.
But then you go backwards, and it's just like it looks like you're watching through, I don't know, hazy clouds of
Right.
garbage.
So before we end, we do have Ryan's one of the Ryans message
Yes.
me with his near perfect movie.
Okay.
Okay, let me get up.
Hopefully
Yeah.
he understood the assignment and and gave us a movie that has high rewatchability, because again, I think that's important. That's important here.
Sure. So Ryan texted me and he said, this is on Tuesday at 8 a.m. I'm listening to the podcast. One, a potential movie choice, although pretty wholesome, is That Thing You Do.
What do we say, Ryan? What do we say? We said don't give us movies that we've already listed. Did he not listen to the whole episode? Did he stop?
He said he's still listening to the podcast.
Okay.
So he did
All
say
right.
he did send it out, but
Okay.
although he never responded, he never followed up like, "Oops, I didn't."
Sure,
I didn't
sure. Well, hey,
spoke too
you know what?
soon."
You know what that tells me? You guys would probably be good friends.
Why? Because we
You like
because
the
we
same
speak
movie.
too soon about things. Oh, because we both like The Thing You Do.
Because you what? What did you say?
Because we both speak too soon about things. Because I said he didn't say he spoke too soon. You're like, well, that means you guys be good friends. Like,
Sure.
wait,
No,
because we both jumped the gun on stuff, or
no, because you both like that thing you do. Although I like
never
that
knew
thing.
you liked that.
I like that
I never-
thing you do. I don't
I never knew
I don't
you
know if
liked
I
it.
like it as much as you. Clearly, I haven't watched it as much.
right.
You seem to really like it. You got a problem.
love it.
You got a problem with how much you like that thing you do.
Oh gosh, Warren's pointing right at me. I feel like I've been taken to the task. I've been knocked down a few pegs just right now.
Stop watching that thing you do. You're done. You've reached your limit.
Your family and I have talked. You
Yeah.
need to stop watching it.
Yeah,
so much.
this is an intervention about how often
Right.
you're watching that thing you do. Okay, Jeremiah, thank you. This is me wrapping up our session.
Warren.
I am sorry that I said that I had a great idea for a podcast and it ended up being kind of not a great idea. Maybe.
No, we're gonna try it.
Well, we got to figure out what it means, and we also have
Okay.
to become really good storytellers. So
Yep.
that's your assignment.
We're both gonna become.
Hope
good
you
storytellers.
understand the
The
assignment.
assignment.
Yeah.